What's the power and infrastructure situation here? As I described, this area that Shawn's working in, and the white gold area that's getting a lot of the attention because of the Kaminak and the underworld discoveries. These areas are not really accessible very easily, but we do seem to have, why don't you just explain the power and infrastructure issues?
Well, right now, like where these discoveries are happening, it's just south of Dawson. And we're lucky from one side because we've been looking for placer gold in this district for 100 years. So we do have road systems, they're back roads, they're gravel. But we actually have, like, to the white and not too far from the coffee, like actually to get to the white, there's only probably about 5 or 6 miles of actual road building to get to it. So that's not too bad with one river to cross, and it's a shallow river, so they could bridge it pretty quick. And the coffee is actually not too much further than the white, so access is not too bad there neither. Power is a different story, and so that's what we're actually looking at, and the government is looking at that very seriously. And we think it's probably going to be a power line that's probably going to run through the Dawson, from Dawson, in through the Klondike goldfields and into the white and coffee area. So it's right now we're hoping that we come up with a couple of deposits, which is starting to look that way. And then if that happens, then basically the government, they actually help build the Minto power line system off of that grid. So
great. Another issue I wanted to talk about, because I think it's important to ask this question, the First Nations, obviously they have a lot of say-so with what's going on up here. From a mining company standpoint, how do we deal with that? How do we work with them?
Like right now in the Yukon, like especially in the Dawson area again, because that's where I come from and living, here they've been exposed to placer mining for about 100 years. So they're quite comfortable with mines and placer mining and stuff, and there's some big operations out there for placer. So here, because we've had this first formal stuff with Underworld happening, they've had some pretty good negotiations. The land claims are settled here, so that means they've all picked their land, and they've got title to their land. And so the government has the rest of the land, and that's the ones we're allowed to stake on. So what happens now is, you still got to go through basically kind of courtship agreements and discussions with them. But the Dawson First Nation, they're Tronjek Gwitchin, they're very actually pro-development. And what they're hoping to get out of the deal is they have an oil company that sells oil, that they get the oil, basically it's oil contracts. If there's building contracts, they got a housing building contract company. So that's the kind of jobs they're looking for out of this deal. So they're quite pro-mining in this district.
Pro-mining. So it's just a matter of the mining company has to take the right approach, and as long as they're working with them on a friendly basis, it all can work out.
Yeah, and they've been very, it's friendlier than I thought, because I thought they were going to be looking for a little bit more, but they're not looking for handouts. They're actually just looking for good jobs.
Yeah, that's great. I wanted to impress upon subscribers too, Shawn, the fact that you've been up here a long time. You've been staking a lot of ground. Just to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you had said earlier that there's 20,000 claims in this white gold and Dawson area that are available, and you really have tied up about 12,000 of those claims.
That's
is
right.
Is
that
right?
No, that's exactly it. Yeah.
So obviously, your company, Ryanwood Exploration, you don't want to become a junior exploration company. You are looking to vend your properties that you bring to drill-ready stage to these junior mining companies, and then you get a part of the deal.
That's right. Yeah.
That's how you work.
Yeah, I do 4-year option deals with all my clients. I'll back them up with 2 or 3 projects. Then I get a good share position, get a good cash position, and then from there, basically they work it for 4 years, and if they decide to keep it, then I basically, sometimes I get advanced royalties of $25,000 a year,
right,
and then I keep an NSR.
Keep an NSR on the deal. Yeah. For people who don't understand that, there's net smelter royalty. If it goes into production, Shawn would get a percentage of that. Yeah,
and so out of a 2 million ounces, which is about $2 billion, your roughly take-home pay is about $20 million.
Yeah, hey, we can live with that.
So no, it's a good system right now. So very rarely does a prospector ever attain that, ever get it royalty.
So what I'm saying here, subscribers, is we're interviewing a future billionaire here.
Well, what we're really hoping is that my goal is 10 to 12 million ounces on my projects within 5 years.
Wow, that's exciting. That's
Yeah.
exciting. Bill Sheriff, who I also like and follow his Golden Predator company, he has some projects up here. He had told me that, Greg, in the next 20 years, you're going to have 100 discoveries up here. And there's going to be some companies that make the discoveries and some companies that fumble around and don't make anything. So, I mean, for you, what's the key in picking these stocks up here? What are we looking for? Of course, we're looking for the good management teams.
That's
We're looking
management, tight shell structures.
Yeah.
And basically, like, with that kind of combination, it's you can't really screw up in a sense, because you may not hit it on the first or the second, but there's a high probability if you're a smart management team, you're going to hit it on the third or fourth.
Yeah, especially if they're vending in a property like yours that has been aggressively, done the science behind the whole gold exploration situation. So with that science on your side and track record of Kamenak and Underworld, this is why I'm interviewing you, because you seem to have discovered the key to making further discoveries.
And the reality is all we're really doing, I call it grade 3 science. We're actually going back to the basics of how exploration really was in the early 80s, when actually geologists were hand-drawing maps, actually color-coding them in different colors and paying attention to the detail. And this is really what's unlocked this big mystery. Plus, we're lucky that the computer age has moved in the last 10 years. The GPS system, the GIS system programs that I could buy for 10 grand that could do like what a 100 grand program did probably 12 years ago. So the amount of data and that we could play with and what we could actually see, like even our ICP-MS assay technique that, 15 years ago they only did 3 or 4 elements. I get 36 in one shot for actually a cheaper price than back then.
Right. So technology has helped speed up the whole process of discovery, and that's also an exciting situation.
Well, that has been the key, but so now I could control my crew, 50 guys running around the bush, to within 5 meters accuracy of where they each take their soils. So it's unbelievable how you could, but this is all real time. This is all just happened. And we're really lucky in Yukon. We have a really good Yukon geological survey that puts a lot of effort into basically coming up with new models. And with new models, there are new clues, and it might be a different angle structure, and that's where the better gold grades are. And bang, it helps us. Like each step is incrementally, increasing our odds. And that's what I say to the public. I say you have to realize we're dealing with, as the old statement said, this is the only business where the norm is to fail.
Right.
So we have to increase our probability. So that's all we do is try to increase our probability, which lowers our failure probability, and hope. And that's actually what I tell people. I sell hope for a living. They hope they have a deposit on my ground, but it's based on science. So I let science sell itself.
Yeah.
And you have the mag, and you have the geophysics, the geology, and the structure. And then you hope you have one, and that's what you sell it off before you put too much money into it. So,
well, you've sold me, and I'm appreciative that we could get together and do this interview. I know my subscribers are really going to like this. One last question. Let's just talk about the future of the Yukon. Obviously, this is still ground floor opportunity up here. We do have a short work season because of the extreme weather. Basically May through October is your window of opportunity. In the wintertime, you're crunching your data, getting everything ready for the next season. But plenty of opportunity here, and sky's the limit.
Oh no, it is. This is probably one of the only spots I know in North America that we could pull this off with this kind of this speed. With Underworld, what we did there, within 2 years we proved almost 2 million ounces. And they got bought out by year 3. That kind of speed. If they were heading into production, we figure we could have had that open pit in production within 4 years. So it would have been a 6-year window from start to drilling to in production if they wanted to go for it, if they didn't get bought out. Yeah. So that's the kind of difference. And the Yukon government is so pro-mining because we're such a small population. And we used to have a lot of miners, and a few of them shut down, and now we have a few mines coming in production again, about 3 of them. So these guys are all pro, the guys who are running the place are all pro-business guys. So that's why we're getting this extra boost. And like literally, the government, to show you how much they're pro, it's one of the only spots in Canada where they almost give out it's about $1.8 million as money, as basically free money to go do exploration to prospectors. $10,000 here, and they'll help a junior mining company with a $50,000 program, and they'll spend 50-50 on the program sometimes.
Yeah, so it's a bright future for up here. We're at the ground floor. We're having this interview with Shawn Ryan, head of Ryanwood Explorations. Shawn, we thank you for your time today.
Thank you.